What is going down, squad? How are we doing today on this beautiful Friday? I'm coming to you guys live from Indianapolis after the first on field day combine drills that happened last night. And as we saw some history last night, guys. That was pretty wild. Clearly, we're going to get right to it. The wide receiver class this year. Oh my goodness. I mean, what do we think about this wide receiver class? I mean, what a year. What a year to only have essentially Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk under contract right now for the 49ers. Again, Juwan Jennings is the RFA. I expect something to get done there. But like, what a year to need a wide receiver, because you are going to be able to find this class is deep. You can get high-end talent, you could get mid-tier talent, you get low-end developmental talent. I mean, it is really insane. I appreciate that, Justin. I'm having a blast out here, man. What's up, James? How y'all doing? So, who were some of your guys' favorite wide receivers from yesterday? Again, like it was history. It was the fastest 40 time from a wide receiver group in the history of the combine. I think there was like 10 wide receivers that ran sub 4.41, which is unheard of. It's absolutely insane. Darren Hall says you got to explain how a wide receiver can switch to D-line and thrive. 100%. I'll talk about that for sure. Because I did spy something this morning. I was able to catch defensive lineman Dominique. What was his last name? It was Dominique Robinson. He's out of Miami, Ohio. He played wide receiver for his first 3 years in college, and in his last season, he switched on over to D-line, defensive end. I saw him carrying a 49ers backpack, so I think it's safe to say that he met with the 49ers today. Another intriguing prospect, again, a developmental guy you could probably get late but has a high ceiling. It's going to be likely raw, but I took a quick look at some of his highlights, and he looks like he has some traits that you could really build around. So that's going to be something that we look for. So Miami, Ohio defensive lineman Dominic Robinson looks to have met with the 49ers again, former wide receiver who's now a defensive lineman. It's funny, one of my favorite prospects in this class, D'Angelo Malone out of Western Kentucky University, who's like an outside linebacker / defensive end. He was a former wide receiver too. Honestly, I think when you get these wide receivers who have, that like shooting forward build, like 6'4", 6'5", and might not be the twitchiest guys in the world, long striders, things like that. It's hard to get separation sometimes with that size. And so some coaches say, hey, you know what? With your traits and your length and your size, we're going to put you on the defensive line and see how you fare. And see how you can put together, because again, when you put speed on offensive linemen, especially bigger offensive linemen, slower offensive linemen, it's a little easier, not easier, but you can attack them in a bunch of different ways when you can come with speed. So that's why they would put a wide receiver on the defensive line. But back to the wide receiver conversation. What's good, SDS? Drop an SDS in the chat. Hit that like button for me. I appreciate you guys, man. Christian Watson. I mean, we saw the 40s come out, all the unofficial times. When the unofficial times came out, it was like one of those situations where it's like, is this real? Like, are they really running this fast? I know Twitter was kind of stirring up a little bit, like talking about, is this fake? I mean, we had people around the combine, in the combine, talking about the same thing. Like, we were chatting it up with a couple people in our vicinity, and we're like, is is this right? Is this right? This feels crazy. But Christian Watson, man, unofficial, it was a 4.28 when it originally came out, but you could tell that man was flying. He's 6'4", 6'5". The official time for Christian Watson was a 4.36. Still, a 4.36 for a man that's what, 6'4", 6'5". Again, he's a great player. It's not just hype. Again, a lot of fans love the situation with Trey Lance and Christian Watson being teammates back in 2019. And they put up great production together. Christian Watson put up about 725 yards. I think it was 6 touchdowns in 2019 with Trey Lance. So they have a rapport. They've been successful together. They have been successful. There's a proven case study that Christian Watson and Trey Lance are dynamic. So now it's a question of, Christian Watson was maybe hanging around late second, maybe early third range, could go, give or take a round. It really feels like Christian Watson has solidified himself as a potentially, probably top 50 prospect. So 49ers first pick right now is at pick 61. So if you do have loved the idea of Christian Watson potentially being a San Francisco 49er, might have to start the realization process that maybe Christian Watson might not be there. And another guy who made a lot of money yesterday was Calvin Austin. John says right here, I want Calvin Austin or either Christian Watson, but we probably won't get either one. I agree with you. I don't think we're going to get either one either. I don't. Because those two guys probably made some of the most money here at the combine, specifically to Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin came out running a 4.32 official, and this is the first it's my first combine, but it's the first combine that fans are in attendance. Calvin Austin was the first player to run a 40 and get cheered on by the fans. We saw the tight ends go. No one really cheered for the tight ends when they were running their 40s. It was just like, everyone was just kind of watching. The second group to come up was the wide receiver. Calvin Austin was the first to go and was blazing fast. And you heard Lucas Oil Stadium erupt. It was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I imagine the combine eventually is going to be an event that is heavily involved with fans, because fans are going to want to go to these types of events. Now, it was just a cool experience. It was cool to see Calvin Austin come out, rip that 40, that blazing 40 right out the gate, and to kind of see everyone in the stadium go crazy. That was a pretty cool experience. What's good, Lil Will? Justin says Tyquan Thornton and Khalil Shakur. Khalil Shakur, to me, like, based on what I've seen from Khalil Shakur, made, like, if I'm a scout, like, we're like, oh, okay, that's exactly what we wanted to see out of Khalil Shakur. Because when I did my first kind of high level overview review of Khalil Shakur, one of the first things that I took away is it looked like he didn't have long speed. It looked like he was really good in short area. He's really good at winning off the line of scrimmage. He has the routes. He has the contested catch ability, the balance, everything that comes along with it. Khalil Shakur looked like a fantastic wide receiver, but it looked like he would just get caught sometimes. Looks like he didn't really have that breakaway speed. Khalil Shakur came out yesterday and he ran a, let's see, what is it? A 4.43. That's good, because I believe when we were sitting with Jordan, Elliott, Jason Aponte, Khalil Shakur is the guy that we all like, and we were talking about what's he going to run because we were kind of in that same category. I was like, yeah, I'm going to say a 4.52. I'm going to say a 4.52. So for him to be able to better that time by an entire second, essentially, awesome, awesome, man. Cash the God, the homie. I appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate the super chat. He says, "Yo, my guy, Brad SDS. Thanks for doing what you're doing, giving us all the inside juice. Thank you, Cash the God, for being one of the dopest hype men in the SDS. I really do appreciate you, man. I appreciate all your contributions to the page, dog. You're really a legend around here. I appreciate you, the God, Cash the God. But man, talk about like it's just such a crazy experience, man. It's just a crazy experience. You know, we're watching the combine, and about a section over from us, you see here comes Pistol Pete Carroll, head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, walking down about like a section over from us. He goes and walks over and says, "What's up?" to Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss head coach. I mean, we had scouts, we had coaches. Eagles head coach Sirianni walked by us. Former Giants head coach McAdoo walked by. I mean, it was insane. We met Bucky Brooks. It's just been a crazy experience, man. We were able to get onto the field, got onto the field, and then we were also able to talk to Robert Griffin III. And I think that was definitely one of the highlights of the day, being able to talk to RG3. And this right here, RG3 really, really, put it into perspective, man, with the Trey Lance situation. Um, you know, all the talking points, you know what I'm saying? Like all the talking heads, he's not ready. No crap, he's not ready. Like, it's such a stupid narrative when you really, really think about it. Like, we're gonna sit here and say with our whole chest that a guy who was drafted at the age of 20, who didn't play the season before due to the COVID situation, and the FCS shutting down their season, and playing and sitting behind Jimmy Garoppolo for a year, and that somehow means he's not ready. Like, dude, what do you expect him to be? Come out look like Aaron Rodgers, MVP day one, when he gets his third career start? Like, what's the bar are we setting here? Like, just because he was the number 3 overall pick, he automatically has to be what? Peyton Manning? Peyton Manning leads leads the, I think, has the NFL record for interceptions uh in a rookie season from a quarterback. Like, again, it's a silly conversation because he isn't ready, and that is okay. But he is ready for the opportunity. And with the opportunity comes experience, and with the experience comes seasoning, and with the seasoning comes execution and all that stuff. It's part of the developmental process to say he's not ready and say it like emphatically as if it is almost a slight at Trey Lance is it's just a gross misrepresentation of the situation. And I felt like Robert Griffin III spoke so eloquently to that. I mean, what a great person, man. Like, when you can sense vibes of people, man. And when he was walking by, he was heading off the field, and I just asked him, I was like, "Hey, like RG3, like what's going on? How do you like the quarterbacks?" I didn't know what to say to him, bro. I just wanted to say something to him. Um, and he just completely stopped and came right over and just parked and just had a full blown conversation. And I mean, the vibe, and then obviously he has very unique perspective as someone who's lived that life as a former number 1 overall pick, as someone who has um, had the pressure, has gone to poor organizations. Again, that was one of the things he spoke to. He spoke to um, he spoke to blanking on all their names right now, of course. Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Justin Fields, all high draft picks, all have tons of talent. Two of them have new head coaches because they went to bad teams. So how can we look at them and be like, oh, well, it's their fault. They're not ready because they're a rookie. Well, look at the entire organization. Look at their environment. Look at everything around them. So he just brought some really like logical, real perspective as someone who has literally lived that life. And what RG3 went on to say about Trey Lance is, he's seen the arm talent, he's seen all that, he's heard good things about the mind and who Trey Lance is, but at the end of the day, what he said is we just got to see him. He's got to play, and with playing and experience, that's how you get better. And I was like, thank you, RG3, thank you for being a rational, logical human being and just like not jumping on the bandwagon with the hot keyword of he's not ready. So RG3, man, what a great conversation. What a great vibe. I mean, he told us he still wants to play. I said I'm going to start the hype train to get RG3 as the backup for Trey Lance. I'm not going to lie, I kind of forgot about the Washington days, so maybe that's not going to happen. But man, RG3 is a real one. He even commented on a picture that I posted of that Rob Shoe snapped of me and him talking, or I think it was Rob or Jordan. He's just a real dude, legit, just normal person, man. And that was really cool of him to give us some time. Jordan asked him some great questions. Jordan asked him a question about Trey Lance, and that's what he was talking about, Trey Lance and his development and what he sees and all that stuff. So Jordan came through clutch with the Trey Lance question, and man, RG3 was just a legend. He's just a legend. And I mean, you can see, but I'm going to say for the most part, man, everyone that we've bumped into and so far that we've introduced ourselves to that are big time, they've really been cool and just, generous with their time. We were walking out. And ran into Bucky Brooks. Jordan introduced himself, and then we introduced ourselves, and he just kind of stood there and talked to us for like a couple minutes. It's just cool, man. It's a cool vibe. RG3 was legit, man. So appreciate him taking the time. But overall, I mean, just the experience is legendary. Experience was legendary, and continues to be that way. But kind of back to some of the day one recaps of the on-field workouts. Tyquan Thornton was the guy that Justin was talking about. It was funny because we were just sitting, like a guy came over and sat next to us, and Jordan ended up chopping it up with him, and then we all ended up kind of conversating and all that type of stuff. But he was talking with Jordan, and I think Jordan was like telling him they were in middle of a conversation, and the guy that we were talking to was like, oh, hold on, Tyquan's about to go run, he's about to go break the record. And we were like, what? I don't know if he said exactly he's going to go break the record, but he's like, he's gonna go run very fast, something along those lines. And sure enough, Tyquan Thornton ran a blazing 40. He out of Baylor ran a 4.28. Originally, the time that came out was a 4.21 unofficial, which would have been the record. But based on what we were talking about, he was like, yeah, absolutely. He's ran the 4.21s, in training. And so the guy that we ended up talking to works with a lot of the athletes, and he's like on the training side of things, and so he knows a bunch of them, knows a bunch of NFL players and all that kind of stuff. So it's just crazy, man. It was cool just to be in that situation. But you had guys like Velus Jones out of Tennessee, who's been kind of slated probably in like a sixth round kind of projection up until this point. He ran a 4.31. Like, and he's from my understanding, I believe he's a pretty decent sized wide receiver. Again, I don't know his measurables off the top of my head, but 4.31 was pretty special. Alec Pierce, wide receiver out of Cincinnati, running a 4.33. That definitely was like, oh, because that these are fast times. These are fast times, man. And so many guys to run sub 4.40 is insane. Um, I believe Hendricks, who's in our chat quite a bit, he was telling me for a couple days now, hey, check out Bo Melton, Rutgers wide receiver. I was like, okay, I'll keep an eye out. And Bo Melton just completely torched. He ran a 4.34, man. It's crazy. Garrett Wilson ran a 4.38. Chris Olave ran a 4.39. Unbelievable. Sky Moore ran a 4.41. I mean, these are all guys that could go potentially, in the top 3 rounds, top 4 rounds. And again, Jahan Dotson, a guy that fell to us in our first live mock draft that we did as a chat. I think we took him 61. He ran a 4.43. Wandale Robinson ran a 4.44. You had George Pickens run a 4.47. Jalen Tolbert, big body wide receiver out of South Alabama, ran a 4.49. I mean, it was nice. I mean, it was quite the showing. It was quite the showing at wide receiver. It's pretty special, man. It's pretty special. I'll be honest, I have not watched Tyquan Thornton yet. It's something that I gotta do. Gotta add it to the hit list of prospects that I need to watch. So I think what's really cool about the combine process is, it's like cluing me into guys that maybe I haven't watched yet or don't really know much about. And you're trying to get a sense of traits. Again, we've had this conversation before about people who say the combine doesn't matter. And it's like, well, it matters, and it matters in a very specific way. If you try to take it out of context and make it much more than it is, then you can inflate things. Like these 40s, like they're really cool, but like the biggest things are all the on-field drills and things like that, and how they move the gauntlet is one of the drills that I really like to see. Fluidity, and trying to see how they're able to maneuver, basically catch the ball while running at full speed. So I think that's been one of the cooler aspects of it. I would say a guy that like I really liked, David Bell, didn't have a great combine. He didn't have a great combine. I'm admittedly a huge David Bell fan out of Purdue. But like in my eyes, I'm foaming at the mouth because I selfishly did not want him to perform that well because I want to get him. I would like to get him onto the 49ers. That's what I want. I want him on the 49ers. So him running, not one of these blazing 40s. He had a couple drops here or there. But I love it. He ran a 4.57. He ran a 4.57. Again, people are gonna see that and they're gonna be like, oh, 4.57. Keenan Allen ran a 4.71 for reference. This dude's a baller, man. And if you get, again, this is the time of the year where the tape starts getting muddied by the potential, the traits. You're like, oh man, I see those traits. If we get him in our building and we build him up, we can build him up into. David Bell's a fantastic wide receiver. Um, and so I would say he actually didn't perform that well, and that I like. I'm okay with that. I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. James Vega, my boy, dropping a dub. I appreciate you, dog. One of the faithful SDS members. I appreciate you, my boy. He says, "What up, Brad? Good looks on these updates and everything you do. Do you see the 49ers keeping all their picks? Chances they might trade some of them to move up. Thoughts on the 49ers picking up Cordell Bolson?" Starting with the first question, do you see the 49ers keeping all their picks? No, I do not. Um, Based on, how we've watched the 49ers um, operate the last 4 or 5 drafts, however many drafts it's been since Kyle, John, and Adam Peters has taken over, they have been crystal clear that they are very open to moving up and down, around, sideways, backwards, forwards. Does not matter, man. Like they will move. So I think they're going to be potentially trying to get up, and we also know Jimmy Garoppolo. We're hearing the chatter. We hear that, oh, we might keep Jimmy Garoppolo. That to me tells me Jimmy Garoppolo is being discussed in legitimate trade conversations. It's being reported by national news outlets that the Steelers and Washington have significant interest in Jimmy Garoppolo. So they're going to acquire more capital, whether it's a player, whether it's more draft picks, and then they're going to be loaded with capital. If they get more draft picks to then be able to just literally move up and down the board wherever they want. So their first pick right now is slated at 61. I do not anticipate that being uh that being their first pick. I think they're going to make moves. I think they are going to absolutely going crazy. Um, and we've seen how they've been able to maneuver the draft before. I think the Javon Kinlaw, Brandon Ayuk is just a great example of what they'll do. They traded DeForest Buckner for number 12, right, from the Colts. Then they took number 12, swapped 13 with the Bucks, got additional draft capital, then used that draft capital that they got for the swap to come back, I think, into around the 25 range and take Brandon Ayuk. So I 150 bajillion% believe that they're not keeping all their picks. They are going to be moving up and down, like I said, around, all over the place. Um, let's see. Great question. Great question, James. I like that one. And that's the way I would treat it too. That's the way I would treat it too. I would want to move everywhere. I would want to be moving up, down, gaining more capital, targeting the guys that I want, and going after them. I don't want to see them go to a division rival or a team or whatever. And chance they might trade. We talked about that one already. Thoughts on 49ers picking up Cordell Volson? That's a big man. Cordell came in, I believe, at about 6'6". He put up 25 reps on the bench press. 315 pounds, 33 7/8 inch arms, 10.5 inch hands. He's kind of a mauler. I haven't done like a deep study on him or anything like that. I have like a baseline first impression. But interesting point about bringing up a right tackle in the draft. Jason Aponte asked John Lynch straight to his face about their draft plans at tackle. depending on the availability of Mike McGlinchey. And John didn't answer that question. He didn't answer that question because it was a two-parter. The two-parter of the question from Jason Aponte was, first of all, how is Mike McGlinchey doing? How's his rehab process? Is he coming back good? And depending on where he's at with his rehab, how does that impact the way you would go after the your draft strategy and things like that, like at right tackle? Like, what does that mean? Does that what does that change, or things like that? And John answered the first part of the question. He absolutely skirted the second part, and how it would affect the draft, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. You're in a room full of people trying to figure out what the hell you're gonna do. Like, it would probably wouldn't be good business to just give up all your draft plans at the podium with the first question. But shout out to Aponte, man, for asking a good one right off the bat. So the Cordell Volson right tackle situation, that could be in play. Like, it's not a situation where we know. But again, you know how it is, tinfoil hat season. Oh, we didn't answer the question. What does that really mean? I don't know. I've talked to Mike. Mike seems optimistic about his progress. So I believe Jordan, Elliott, and Jason Aponte have talked to some other people behind the scenes too, specifically about Mike, and we're all getting the same information that it seems like he's doing well. Again, I went straight to Mike, asked him. He said he's planning on coming back better than he's ever been. And then again, we've heard it from the other side of it too, where we're hearing other reports kind of backing that up, that he's actually doing okay. So he is coming back from a major surgery. It's going to be something that we continue to monitor, but I think the draft is going to be a great indicator to what that means for him. Are they going to, because you have Colton McKivitz again? Remember, Colton McKivitz proved he could play left tackle. So if you got Colton McKivitz and you need him to be the new Tom Compton, potentially, to be able to play right tackle, play left tackle, play guard, Colton McKivitz seems like that guy to be able to do that. So maybe they don't have to go into the draft and take more offensive linemen for the tackle positions, because you still have Jalen Moore, who's going to be coming back, 5th round draft pick. Colton McKivitz, like we talked about, maybe they bring back Tom Compton on a cheap 1-year deal. And if that's the case, there's 3 tackles potentially on your roster already, and maybe you don't go after someone in the draft and use your capital somewhere else. So great questions, though, James. Awesome. And thank you so much for the super chat, especially the dub super chat. Let's go, James. Let's go. Shout out James. He just not only did he send me a $20 super chat, but he gave me multiple questions and topics that we just talked about for like 10 minutes. Shout out James. Those are the best questions, man. When we can like really just like spin off a question. I appreciate you, James. I really, really do. Means a lot. This is important. Fast time is nice, but they need to know how to run routes. That is the most important in evaluating these players and a lot of things. 100%. Ben Fennell works for the NFL Network, does a lot of producing. He's a big draft guy. He put out a tweet not too long ago talking about, like, don't get blinded by speed. Don't get blinded by 40s. Like, remember, there's so much more to the evaluation. And I believe it to be true as well. The tape is going to trump everything. I feel like on-field workouts are, again, just to confirm what you've seen or tape, and or highlight something that maybe you missed, or you're like, oh, because that was it with me. I knew George Kittle to be a dominant blocker, but when I saw him at the combine on the on-field drills and how fluid he was as a pass catcher, as a route runner, the speed, the 4.52 straight line speed, his short shuttle time, I was just like, this dude's the next Greg Olsen. was literally what I said. I got laughed off the bird app because I said George Kittle was the next Greg Olsen coming out of Iowa with less than 800 receiving yards over 4 years. But that's what the combine is. If you know what you're looking for, you're trying to just get an understanding baseline traits to confirm what you've seen on tape. RG3 said the same exact thing, and or you're just trying to build up a profile, a complete profile of a player. So it's not like you're going to the combine to be like, ooh, let's see the next player. The fastest guy is going to be the best guy. And so back to the Ben Fennell comment, he just responded to something like, I forget what he said. I want to actually just make sure I repeat it properly because I think it's important to the conversation and what William is talking about here. It's just, don't get too caught up with the flashy times. At the end of the day, this is football. Pads matter. Again, as a player who I played a little bit myself, I played with a lot of guys who look fantastic in spring ball with shorts and shirts on and looked great in the weight room, but you get them on the field with pads and it's a completely different story. So again, just something to keep in mind. And I think that's a great point. I don't think we should look at these 40s as a situation where it's like, oh, got to like get this guy who ran a fast 40. You know what I mean? Like, so that's essentially what he was saying. He essentially said, just remember. He said right here, just a reminder, it's amazing to watch speed and get excited about elite athletes, but stay focused. That's what he said. And that's right on point with William. And I commented under it and I said, this is secretly a David Bell tweet because, again, David Bell didn't test well, didn't look fantastic. He liked it. So, yeah, we're on the same vibe. But again, William makes a great point. And again, other evaluators will back that up for sure. Let's see. I see a super chat. So Justin, I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. I think Justin is leading the sourdough scouts. I mean, he might be our senior sourdough scout at this time. Justin is pulling a lot of really good prospects. A lot of really, really good prospects this year. So the linebacker Leo Chanel, 6'2", 260, 10 sacks in 2021 is going to break that bench press record. Oh, he's coming in with some predictions, but Justin's been on point this year, and I appreciate the super chat, Justin. But Justin has been on point. He might be the clubhouse leader for senior sourdough scout right now because he's been throwing prospects at me for a better part of like 2 months now. So shout out Justin, man. We see you working. Let's see. I'm gonna kind of go back a little bit, see if there are any other questions that I missed. Just kind of catch up on the chat real quick. We talked about Christian Watson a little bit. I mean, I think Christian Watson performs so well that he's going to be outside the 49ers range unless they really went up to trade for him, because at 61, I don't know if he's going to be there at 61. Like I said, I think he's going to be a top 50 prospect or a top 50 draft pick. But there are so many good wide receivers in this class. But when you see that type of speed and size combination, it's hard to pass that up. And he's proven he can do it. He did it at the Senior Bowl. He's answering all the questions. He's checking all the boxes. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be there. Amari Cooper, we're hearing Amari Cooper could be released coming up. It does sound like we've heard this before. They will say, "Oh, we're releasing said player," but that's just to like get the trade situation going. Like, if you guys don't trade for him, we're just going to release him. And sometimes you'll see it come out like later, like, oh, X player who was to be released was actually traded a 5th round for, or something like that. I don't think the 49ers are going to trade for him because he carries a massive cap hit. The only chance they would have is to get him on free agency, but then again, on free agency, he's still going to want to get the bag, and I don't know. They got to give Debo the bag. So this is a fantastic year to target wide receivers in the draft. And again, I think it's like swapped a little bit. Like I think our fan base primarily is looking at the cornerback, especially in the draft, as like, oh, that's our number one need, and we need to attack that early in the draft. I kind of disagree. I think the 49ers, if they are going to go after cornerback, well, they need to, but it needs to happen in free agency. We have two rookies who are going to be second year players. You can find undrafted free agent guys for depth. Again, Emmanuel Mosley's an undrafted free agent guy who's now become one of our cornerback ones. You bring back Jason Verrett. You potentially go out, get a DJ Reed, someone of that caliber. And supplement what you have. I feel like that's going to be a lot better scenario than like trying to hit a McDuffie, trying to hit a Kyler Gordon, or I know everyone wants Sauce Gardner, but that just seems like he's inching into top 10 category at this point. So I don't know. I don't know if Sauce is even I saw Sauce today. Me and Sauce actually made eye contact today, and he had a big old chain around his neck that said Sauce. He was walking down the stairs as like I was walking by, and we just kind of like looked at each other, and we just cosmic connection. I was like, Niners. I said it like through my mind. It's like, you're gonna be a Niner. No, I don't think he's gonna be a Niner. To be perfectly honest, if he was, that would be great, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I think it's more viable that the 49ers address cornerback in free agency and you draft wide receiver, because then you load up on Debo. Brandon Ayuk's coming right behind Debo. You get more cost controlled third, fourth, fifth round wide receivers that you can develop and bring along. That's kind of how I would do it. But it is going to be interesting to see what Kyle is going to be doing. Yeah, that's his room. Kyle's the wide receiver coach, so that's his room. Those are his sons. He's a former wide receiver, and we know he how he runs his room. That's his room. So go get some sons, Kyle. But I'm excited because I think you're going to be able to find guys. Literally, there's so many guys. Like I'm like looking at the list. There's 18 players who ran under a sub 4.5. 18 guys. That means there's a lot of speed. There's a lot of speed in this class. There's a lot. That's kind of my vibe. I would like to go that way. And you can also go and try and get one of these guys, Kobe Bryant out of Cincinnati, Marcus Jones out of Houston, in the third, fourth, fifth round, to supplement depth at cornerback. But I'm not looking at cornerback to try and reach and try and we have to get one of these top tier cornerbacks. I'm fine with getting like a middle tier cornerback in the draft. But again, my big thing is supplementing through free agency at the cornerback position. This is a good point back to the why not to get hyper fixated on 40 times, because hey, the GOAT wide receiver Jerry Rice ran a 4.71. Keenan Allen ran a 4.71. Jarvis Landry at one point was one of the better young wide receivers in this league, ran above 4.7. There have been plenty of wide receivers who have run not great 40 times, but they're technicians when it comes to manipulation, specifically when it comes to route running. And if you can beat people, you can beat cornerbacks, linebackers, and safeties' hips. You get them think you're going one way, and you have the ability to cut and redirect and be fluid in and out of your breaks. And speed's cool and all, but if you're a better route runner and you can create separation, You don't have to be fast. Jimmo says, I'm watching David Bell tape again. Yeah, he is great. He is great. He is great. I'm going to go ahead and say this is not going to happen. I don't know. How are you going to, again, I don't know why this keeps coming up. Who's going to take Mike McGlinchey for 10 million coming off an extremely severe injury? Like, what are you trading Mike McGlinchey for? A bag of peanuts? Like, why would you do that? So maybe like we're having a conversation just to throw it around. If Mike McGlinchey had a fantastic year last year and, we're really cap hindered with everything and like needed to move him, then okay, maybe we get like, because again, he's a first round pick, he's a top 10 pick. To trade him for anything less is like an admission of failure on the pick. So again, why? What are you getting? What are you getting for Mike? That's the question. People just say trade Mike. Like, why? Like, what is the logical thought process, the return, the value? What are you getting? Like, what is the point? You just don't like him? You like to call him McFloppy? Like, what's the point? It's getting silly at this point. I guess that's my point. Hey, that's my guy though. That's my guy. I get a little spicy talking about Mike. That's my boy. I like Mike. Address cornerback in free agency. Insulate Trey Lance with talent to succeed. Draft wide receiver, tight end, wide back. Thank you, Justin. Thank you. Justin is a true SDS in every sense of the word. You get cap relief? I thought because I'm not a capologist. But I figured it was 10 million guaranteed when you are what is it? Oh, hold on. Patriots cornerback J.C. Jackson is expected to hit the free agent market rather than receive the free agency tag. Okay. J.C. Jackson sounds like he will be officially a free agent. So that just came through from Rappaport. But again, I don't know the cap situation. I'm not a capologist. I know they picked up his 5th-year option. From my understanding, I thought that would be fully guaranteed. I felt like it's a cap hit no matter what. But hey, again, I'm not a capologist. I'm not a capologist. But again, what are you getting for him? You're really just trading him for cap relief? We'll see. I think he's better than just clearing him off the books. But hey, that's what I get for being an O-line guy, right? Cole Beasley was granted permission to seek a trade from the Bills. But this is it to me. And let's talk about the tight ends a little bit. We haven't touched on the tight ends too much. But I'm not gonna lie. Like, yesterday only made me like Connor Hayward like exponentially more. Again, I picked him in one of my last picks of my current mock. I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's a running back. I don't know if he's a fullback. I don't know if he's a tight end. I don't know if he's a halfback. I don't know if he's a kick returner. I don't know what he is. All I know is that he's a football player. That's all I know. All I know is Connor Hayward out of Michigan State. They have him listed as a tight end. He's 6 foot, man. I don't see him being a blocker. He wouldn't fit our scheme very well as a tight end, maybe as a fullback. Maybe not as a tight end though, because we rely heavily on the tight ends to block in our scheme. So that's key. That's the biggest key for tight ends right now. Joey says, proud of you, Jason and Jordan. Happy to see y'all thriving and stay safe out there. Appreciate you, Joey. I appreciate you, Joey. I really do. One of the up and coming content creators out there in the 49ers world. Make sure you keep an eye out for what Big Joey's putting out. Appreciate you, man. Really, really do. Dolich, I think we took Dolich in our mock draft 1.0. But I agree. I think Isaiah Likely got to see Isaiah kind of perform as an athlete. He looked pretty good. Again, he's going to be someone that I want to go back and study more. I've definitely watched him. I've watched a surprisingly decent amount of Coastal Carolina, but I really was just watching Grayson McCall most of the time, and really not paying attention to who he was throwing to. But that is going to be someone that I want to go back and look at. But Dolich out of UCLA, I think he made some money. You didn't get this wasn't a fast class from the tight ends. This wasn't a fast class from the tight ends at all. The fastest person to run was Chig Oko. Oh God, another name I'm gonna butcher. Okowonko. I don't know why I have so much trouble with names, man. I don't know why, but it wasn't a fast class. Again, Chig out of Maryland ran a 4.52. That would have matched George Kittle's 40 time. And I think he was like 7 or 8 in his draft class. He just happened to be in an insanely crazy draft class. Yeah. Joey dropped it in the chat. I'm terrible with names, man. Words, numbers, not my friends. I like pretty pictures. That's why I like watching tape. It works out really well. It's very visual. That ADHD, man. It's good for some things, and it's not so good for other things. How that tight end from Ohio State doing? I didn't see him. Ruckert. I didn't see him. I didn't see him out there. So I didn't see him specifically. Saw Jelani Woods. He put up 12 touchdowns over his time with Virginia, I believe it was. But he so again, my first impression is watching him at the scouting combine. Scouting combine is end all be all. It's just like, who are you as an athlete? He was okay. He stumbled a couple times, a little choppy in and out of his breaks. He had a good catch here or there, but I think he also had some drops. So again, he's just going to be a guy you want to go back and look at tape. What does he look like on tape? Do you think that's going to translate over? But I think this isn't going to be a deep class. Like you're not going to get like, if we're looking at top tier tight ends, we're probably looking at Greg Dulcich. We're probably looking at what's his name? McBride. McBride looked really good. Again, I think McBride continues to look really good. Ooh, can I tell you someone that I like that I had no idea who he was coming into this combine? Was it Austin Allen? I think it was Austin Allen. I got to double check that's exactly his name. That's his name. I think it was Austin Allen. I think it was Iowa State though, so that doesn't seem right. Iowa State. So one of the things, being my first scouting combine is one, they don't put up like any information in the stadium. You're not getting times, you're not getting names, like you aren't getting anything. And so in the stands, I don't have binoculars, so it's really hard to see like Like, wait, who was that? Who caught that? Is it this guy? So definitely one of the things that I'm going to pick up for next year: binoculars, printed rosters, all that kind of stuff. We're getting there. It's our first time. It's our first rodeo. It's our first rodeo. It's our rookie campaign. Year two, just like Trey Lance, ascending. Right now, we're figuring it out. We're trying to get our feet wet and understand what it is. Chase Allen, right? Chase Allen. There you go. Chase Allen. I liked him. I liked him a lot. When we talk about fluid athletes, um, I I like Chase Allen. He seemed like first rep that I saw from him running a route. I was like, I think he ran the gauntlet, and instantly I was like, who's that? I was like, that was really smooth. Um, and continued, and then like, right away, of course, like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch Chase Allen as we continue. And he had a great combine, I thought. So Chase Allen, I like him. I like him a lot. So he's going to be someone that I'm going to do more study on. Um, Crazy thing about him, I'm just looking up. He's 28 years old. That's pretty crazy. Is that true? He's 28 years old? How does that work? Is he a baseball player? No, there's no way he's 28 years old. That's got to be fake. That's got to be fake news. They say 6'7", 250. So I didn't even know he was 6'7". Didn't even know he was 6'7". So again, he looked, when you see guys who are fluid athletes that are big, I think Christian Watson is kind of one of those guys where they're big bodies, but they move so fluid that they don't look like big bodies. They look like smaller guys. So I didn't even know he was 6'7". I thought he was going to be 6'4", maybe, but 6'7". Trying to figure out what his age is. 6'7", 250. Again, I didn't know who this guy was. I still don't know who this guy is, but watching him at the combine was pretty eye-opening, at least for me. Something that I'm going to go back and watch. Yeah, I don't think he's 28, but he's someone that I liked. And again, I think the 49ers. I think the 49ers are going to be interested in that position as well. Maybe late round, six. Charlie Warner's a 6th-round pick. Maybe they take another 5th-round tight end. Again, he doesn't have prolific wide production with his time at Iowa State. I think he never eclipsed 300 yards receiving on a season. So kind of like George Kittle, like maybe underutilized, but when you see the traits, again, like I see traits that would translate into being a good receiver. There's no way he's 28. That's got to be a lie. That was on the Wikipedia page, so their Wikipedia page might be wrong. But I don't know. We'll see. I'll figure it out. Ooh. Jimmo says he has great tape. Bully. I mean, when you see someone who only has, couple hundred receiving yards as a tight end, they're probably a blocker. Hence George Kittle. George Kittle had the receiving intangibles in college. He made plays in college. He just never got targeted. He just never got the ball. They never made it a point to get him the ball because they're a pro style. Yeah. Thank you, Steve. This feels much better. George was 24 when he was drafted. This feels much better. This makes more sense to me. So I like him. I like him a lot. And if I like his tape, so I'm tagging him. He's right now Chase Allen. He is a he's a draft crush, potential draft crush. We'll just call him a potential draft crush. I like the start. Again, have a weird thing with vibing with players in the draft process, and Chase was someone I vibed with right away. I was like, oh, first time I got eyes on him, first time I was like, oh, I like that. So if I go and watch the tape, and the tape, I see a blocker, I see a guy, and again, I've seen him as a wide receiver. Like that's one of the things that caught my eye was his intangibles, catching the ball, movement ability. I don't know what he is as a blocker. At 6'7", 250, I'm excited. I'm actually really excited to hop into that tape. So he's going to be someone that I look for. Really get a better idea. Brunil asked, "What were your thoughts on tight end out of Maryland?" To be honest, didn't stand out to me. He really didn't stand out to me. That like Chase Allen did. But that doesn't mean he's not good or anything. I gotta go. I did not say he was the best. He ran the best 40, is what I said. He ran the best 40. To me, it would have to be a situation where I'd have to go actually watch him play. There wasn't anything that like. And again, when you're watching the tight ends go, there's a lot of tight ends. They look really similar. Like there wasn't like this huge like discrepancy of like talent gap. So someone I'm gonna have to go look at more. Where did I find this hat? Great question. Great question. Perfect opportunity for me to plug the homies. I got this hat at residency.com. And if you do want to get the hat or any other hats, they have a million different hats. You can use promo code VSF Niners, get you a little discount off your order, and they'll get you right. Really, it's a great quality hat. Fire hat. We got to do another giveaway soon too, because that giveaway was fire. So yeah, man. We talked about this a little bit. Can we get the NSU Chase Christian Watson? Probably not. Not at 61. Like we talked about, though, I think Jimmy's going to get moved. Could get potential draft gas. So maybe. I don't think they do got flat brim, to be honest with you. I think everything comes rounded like this. Mine's kind of bent from trying to travel with it on my backpack. But yeah, they come. I don't think they got the flat bills. You can check it out though. Still a great hat. So for the tight ends, really, again, Dulich stood out. McBride, those guys are clearly kind of top tier. Cole Turner was a guy out of Nevada who's going to be someone that I'm going to go look at a little bit more. Jake Ferguson out of Wisconsin is going to be another guy that I look at a little bit more. Curtis Hodges, maybe. But there were definitely some guys where I want to go do some more research. I want to watch the tape. Again, tape's going to tell me pretty much everything. Tape don't lie. Drills are cool. But at the end of the day, it's the tape that you really have to put your full evaluation into, and then you supplement the combine as like confirming what you see on tape, because some guys look faster on tape, some guys look slower on tape. Again, I thought Khalil looked slower on tape, but he actually proved to be faster, and that's how you get your stock going up and all that kind of stuff. Let's go. Antonio says, here in Houston, a few people like my SF Mission hat, rock it all the time. SF Mission's the all red, I think, and white text. So yeah, 100%. All right. It's about that time though. It's about that time to get ready for day 2 of the NFL Combine. Fire chat today, everyone. Shout out to everyone who contributed to the conversation. appreciate all the super chats big time. You really know I do. And I appreciate everyone who engages with the lives. I'll probably I love that. I love this. I love because other teams are going to say the same exact thing. Well, who is this guy? Where does he go? A team's going to take a chance on him. They're going to find a role, whether it's a wide back type hybrid, like because he's not like a wide, he's like a tight back. Ooh, I think we did it. I think we did it. He's not a wide back. He's a tight back. He's half tight end, half running back. That's what Connor Hayward is. He's half tight end, half running back. He's not half wide receiver, half running back. He's half tight end, half whatever. Tight back. That's what I'm calling him. Tight back. Thick boy, tight back. Calling him the tight back. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see some running backs today. Not really anyone. I want to see how James Cook does, but I think Breesy is Iowa State. There's a couple guys that I wouldn't mind seeing. But I'm excited to just get out there and see what these boys do. Yeah, exactly. Get me the tight back, man. Get me the tight back. And let's get it going. So we'll see. We'll see what happens today at the combine. We'll hopefully be going live from the combine. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But about to head out over there right now. And oh yeah, we like this one. Rashad White. I like that. He would fit perfect. Him, Donovan West. Even their right tackle. ASU's got some boys. So I'm excited. But I'll see you guys in a little bit. Instagram and or Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, one of these lives. We'll get it figured out. But I will see you guys next from the combine. And we'll see how it goes. Appreciate you guys vibing with me. Hopefully we'll be vibing in a little bit. But you guys have a fantastic rest of your Friday. Peace.